Hi. I just got a People magazine from July 1979 because it has a feature on Dennis Evans, and I got nostalgic working on the videotape.
Some people were really scandalized when that happened because I guess they thought People magazine wasn't a fitting, magazine for an artist. But I was kind of pleased because it had a huge circulation, and Dennis's work really was interesting. Well, now we'll go on to part 2 in this series of Evans Waugh at the Whatcom.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. We need some fire. It's 10 o'clock, it's warming up. It's not real sunny yet. Well, this is the first romance. In any passion play, there has to be a little romance. I took my lessons from Hollywood. So, this is a romance. So there are two useful items. This is called Between Two Desires, but this is a false romance. It's a secret romance. There are 3 romances in the Passion Play, 6, 7, and 8. 4, where we are now, is a false romance. It's a secret romance, but it's still a romance. Unfulfilling. It's called Between Two Desires, and there's always a between. I'm going to explain this one very thoroughly because it's very hard to even show you here. But I'll try, yeah. The male is located in one pond, female is located in another pond about half a mile away. And the male has some music with him, and the female has none. And at the sound of the whistle, they open their garments. And the female has right sight. The male has no sight. The male is blinded. And at the sound of the whistle, they begin searching for one another. And the male is blinded, and the female, she can sight with one eye, right sight. So she can sight him, and the male's wandering all over. So, eventually, they do meet, and they collide, obviously, and the female is still between two desires, in that she can't see the male can't see her, she sees herself reflected in the copper plate, in the mirror. And that's the second, or the fourth, and the first. The fourth field usage and the first romance. That's a secret romance. What? Okay. Just let it go. Okay. Now remember, this is a simulation of what really happened there. And so at 10 o'clock, things were wearing a little thin. That was a pretty romantic thing. So we had an intermission. And at the intermission, let's get a little, no, up with the music, up. Missed. Now what this is all about is the sun slowly came out, and so I want you to have a little heat from the sun and some mist from the, okay? So there's a little sun for you. A little intermission. You can see the sunburn started. Okay, Bill. Okay, it's 11 o'clock and it's time for the second suite in the sub-suite in the Passion Play. This is called Fulcrum, and it's somewhat of a solo hermaphroditic device in that there's copper and lead on each side, and it's sort of like a kayak course. And the course was in the field. Okay, Bill. And I'll give you a few demonstrations. This is a spillway here. It's full of stones, and it's got a slit in the bottom so that you can see we get a little. Now, what you do is in a course like that, you spin. Oh. Tricky business. Okay. I think you get the point. Now that was sort of an overture for some romances. It was a sort of a self-erotic romance of sorts, but it wasn't really intended to be a romance. Boy, I'm going to be winded by the time this thing's over. Much better to do in 12 hours than 1. Okay. This is called 2 rams, 2 arcs, and 22 mems. I will explain this to you. Let's have a little tango music. This is the first appearance of the dandy farmer, and it's really as a reciprocating device for the female. This is the altar that was put in the ground early at 6 a.m. and here's its matching altar. These are at 2 ends of the pond, east and west, okay? And let's just go ahead and go over to the east. This is pretty technical stuff. These are the 2 rams, has beeswax, and this ram certainly doesn't have any beeswax, it's all steel. And what's left of the 22 mems is that, little porcelain wafers. Now you're probably getting the picture now, what happens, because the romance goes like this. They sort of boogie through the water, pass, and the good old ram comes out and now, while the female has at this end, she's placed another mem on this altar, at which point the old beeswax mem comes out and much more gentle if you. So the shards are put into the harvester here, and you just keep going back and forth till you run out of mems. Now, this is a commercial now. When you run out of mems, the last one says order now, and you send it back to the artist, and it's refillable. Comes with a lifetime refillable cartridge. So after you use it up, you send in your card and you get a refill. So that's the way this one works. Okay, number 7. And if my geometry and arithmetic's right, it's noon. This is number 7. This is in dedication to my Jesuit training. It's called the Retaliation or Reactionary Tango, and it's for the deviant cause and effect enthusiasts. Now, this is a turbolone here, and you'll see how a turbolone works in a couple of the next ones besides this one. Let's first show them a little profile. Notice we okay, turn facing. Now, let's go ahead and what this is all about is this is the first time that the farmer takes soundings. And I'm sure you know what soundings are all about. That's when you check for depth. And any self-righteous Jesuit passion play enthusiast would want depth. So this is basically the male is assaulting the water with a stone, at which point the female will come and collect water at the point of impact, collect the same water that was broken and entered, and go to an altar where stones will lie and give it the old 1-2. Now you have to remember that this altar is usually much lower because it's in a pond, so it works in the field. These are field models. Okay, so what basically happens is there's a quite a complex structural field back and forth across a pond with splashes and retaliations, all to the refrain of Sweet Someone. And that is the second true romance. Now, I didn't tell you about this magic turbolone here. Turbolones are real special little implements in our line because they can take many in and leave one out. And but there's always twists, so this blade splits it back into 2 over the stream. So that's the second romance, or number 7 in the Passion Play. Up with Now for the albatross of the, this is the real ding-dong dandy of my line. Now this one I didn't think was going to work, and it did in a very delightful way. It's a yoke. There's always a bit of mystery in this stuff for even me. And this was a real mystery. I sort of expected to drown when we used this piece. So we stayed in shallow water, since I'm a poor swimmer. Okay. Now, okay, we're just, first of all, I'm going to explain these devices. This is a harvester, another harvester, a literal harvester, and this is the harvest. Now many are missing because they were consumed And they're now in there. And these, the harvest, are collected in the harvester and then, go ahead, harvested. Now, the way you don't need to hook it up. Okay, let's go around. So we're yoked together and we spin in the pond. As we spin, the male places skers pull out like so, all the way around. Remember, we're in 1 foot deep mud with Pavarotti in the wind. And so we go, round and round to Pavarotti, until all of the skers are gone and all the skers have been harvested. Now, for this to be my albatross, it was my favorite, and still is my favorite. Okay, the end of the romances and the intermission.